Hello, my wonderful and beautiful friends. Welcome back to our story time, where we dive into tales of entitlement, a husband ignoring his wife for a heartbreaking reason, a grandma turning a wedding into her personal stage, a selfish sister trying to make money off Pugs, an ungrateful sister despite being helped, and a deeply satisfying eviction. I hope you enjoy these stories, just don't shake your head too hard. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and as always, you can send or link your own posts to this email right here. Let's dive in. Story 1, Drama, ignoring his wife because she threw away tapes of his late wife. First up, we dive into our /Ada, where family drama explodes like a ticking time bomb. This time, OP brings us a story that's both heartbreaking and intense, so intense that when I finished reading it, I just wanted to scream, what is even happening in this household? OP is a widower in his 40s, living what seemed like a peaceful life after losing his first wife, let's call her N, 5 years ago. OP shares. N was my first love. We were married for 10 years, had no kids, but we made countless beautiful memories, all recorded in a few videotapes. Now, these tapes weren't just some old VHS tapes collecting dust. OP explains. They held birthdays where N smiled like the sun, our wedding where we danced like fools, and even her final days in the hospital, where she still tried to talk to me. He kept them in an old wooden box in the corner of the living room, his little shrine of memories. Whenever he missed N, he'd sit there and look at them. But then, OP remarried, to his new wife, let's call her M, and this is where the drama begins. OP says, M knew about my past. I thought she understood. Oh, OP, you thought, but reality had a completely different drama in store for you. Are you ready? Because this is the kind of story that made me both sympathize with OP and want to shake M by the shoulders. The disaster begins. When M moved in, she didn't say anything at first about the box of tapes. OP even made sure to tell her. These are my memories. Please don't touch them. M nodded, so OP thought everything was fine. But oh no, it was not. Months passed, and OP started noticing something. M would glance at the box with irritation, as if it was some sort of ugly stain in her perfect new home. OP writes, one time, she even said, "Why do you keep that old box? It's so dusty." I explained, it's not just an old box. It's a part of my life. M went silent, but what OP didn't realize was that she was already planning something. And then, the fateful day arrived. OP came home from work, walked into the house, and immediately felt his heart drop. He writes. I looked at the corner of the living room. The box was gone. Just gone. I ran around, searching everywhere, my heart pounding. Did I misplace it? Did I move it somewhere and forget? But deep down, he already knew. So, he asked M, the moment that changed everything. M was in the kitchen, washing dishes, completely unfazed. I asked, "Where's my box of tapes?" M turned around, wiped her hands on her apron, and dropped the bomb. I threw them out. You need to let go of the past. Why are you clinging to those tapes when you have me? OP's heartbreak in the silent war. OP froze. He couldn't process what he just heard. Threw them out? M just tossed the only remaining memories of his late wife like they were banana peels? OP desperately asked, "Where did you throw them?" M casually pointed outside. I took out the trash this morning. The garbage truck probably picked it up by now. OP raced outside, tore through the garbage bins, but it was too late. I stood there, my hands shaking, tears streaming down my face. Those weren't just tapes. That was a part of my soul. Reading this, I wanted to scream at M. Do you even realize what you've done? You didn't just throw away tapes, you threw away his heart. And here's where things got even more intense. OP went back inside, looked at M, and felt nothing. He simply shut down. OP writes. From that moment, I stopped talking to her. I didn't yell, I didn't fight. I just shut her out. I didn't eat with her, didn't sleep next to her. I locked myself in my room, and when she spoke to me, I didn't respond. M tried asking me what was wrong, but I ignored her. I couldn't forgive her. At this point, I'm like, OP, I get it, but silent treatment forever? That's gonna get rough. So, is M heartless for doing this? Or is OP taking it too far? The Reddit explosion. OP went on Reddit and asked, AITA for ignoring my wife after she threw away the tapes of my late wife? And the comments exploded like a reality show finale. Team OP, no, M is awful. Those tapes were sacred. She had no right. Team M, she was wrong, but OP should forgive her. A marriage can't survive this kind of silent war. The comedians, M should throw away her apron too, because that won't save this mess. I laughed so hard at that one. But personally, I side with OP. M didn't understand the value of those memories, so she had no right to touch them. A theory to ponder. But wait a second. What if M wasn't actually mad about the tapes themselves? What if she was jealous of OP's past? Maybe she felt like she could never measure up to N, so she tried to erase her presence completely? Or maybe she genuinely thought that by throwing away the tapes, she was helping OP move on, but just chose the absolute worst way to do it? Either way, OP has every right to be hurt. Losing those tapes means losing something irreplaceable. But, can his marriage survive this level of resentment? Final update, is there hope? After a few days of the silent treatment, M finally apologized. She said, I didn't know they meant that much to you. I just wanted you to live in the present. OP wrote. Hearing that, I felt both pity and anger. Pity because she regretted it. Anger because she never understood me from the start. He still hasn't spoken to her, and now I wonder, will they get through this? So, what do you think? If you were OP, would you forgive her or keep ignoring her? Have you ever lost something precious? Let's talk in the comments. Wrapping up the drama. So there you have it, a family drama that's both heartbreaking and frustrating. One missing box of tapes, one marriage on the brink, all because of carelessness and unresolved pain. Are you Team OP or Team M? Do you have your own marriage drama to share? Drop it in the comments, I'm super curious. Story 2, entitled Grandmother Ruins the Wedding. Next, we head over to our /EntitledPeople, the subreddit where self-proclaimed center of the universe individuals turn every situation into their personal stage. And this time, OP shares a wedding drama so absurd that I wanted to scream, Grandma, what are you doing? OP is just a regular guest attending their cousin's wedding, an event meticulously planned down to the smallest detail. The white wedding dress, vibrant fresh flowers, and a dreamy lakeside reception were all set for a perfect day. OP writes, my cousin, let's call her D, spent a whole year preparing for this, from choosing the venue to trying on dresses, all to have a flawless day. But the real star of the drama wasn't the bride or the groom, it was D's grandmother, whom we'll call Grandma G. OP shares, Grandma G is infamous in the family for always making a scene. She has to be the center of attention at every family gathering. OP assumed that Grandma G would only be a minor nuisance, maybe telling long-winded stories or demanding extra photos. But nope, she took being entitled to a whole new level at this wedding. And I bet you've encountered this kind of drama at least once in your life, an older relative hijacking someone else's big day. Ready for this? Buckle up, because Grandma G does not disappoint. The drama unfolds. It all started before the wedding when Grandma G made an announcement that left the entire family stunned. OP recalls, she called D and said, I'll be wearing a white dress to the wedding. D was shocked. Grandma, white is for the bride. But Grandma G, unfazed, responded, I'm the eldest in the family. I have to stand out. Besides, white looks good on me. OP writes, the whole family protested, from D's mom to the groom himself, but Grandma waved them off. You kids don't understand. I'm old, I deserve special treatment. At this point, I was screaming, Grandma, what do you mean stand out? This is D's day, not your birthday. The wedding disaster. The big day arrived, and Grandma G showed up exactly as she had promised, in a long, dazzling white dress that was flashier than the bride's gown. OP shares, Dee walked out in her wedding dress, looking like a princess, but all eyes immediately turned to Grandma G. She stood there, hands on her hips, smiling like she was the one getting married. The groom, let's call him T, whispered to Dee, "What is your grandma doing?" Dee, trying to keep the peace, just forced a smile, not wanting to create a scene on her big day. OP writes, I could tell she was upset, but she didn't dare say anything, afraid Grandma G would explode. Hijacking the wedding photos. But Grandma G didn't stop there. During the wedding photos, she inserted herself right in the middle of the couple. OP writes, she told the photographer, "Take a picture of me in the center. I'm the most important person here." The photographer hesitated, the groom tried to pull her aside, but Grandma G snapped, "I'm the grandmother. I have to be in the middle." And just like that, half of the wedding photos had Grandma G standing dead center, holding the bride's bouquet, grinning like a movie star. At this point, I was dying. "Grandma, do you think this is a TV drama? The lead role is Dee, not you." The ultimate power move. The grand finale of this disaster. When the DJ played the first song for the couple's dance, Grandma G got up, shouted across the room, and stopped the music. OP shares, she yelled, "I don't like this song. Change it." The entire wedding fell silent. The DJ stood there, baffled. Dee turned red, on the verge of tears. T tried to smooth things over, saying, "Let's just leave it." But Grandma G wasn't having it. She marched onto the dance floor, raising her hands like a director stopping a scene. "Turn it off now. Play some old songs instead." Dee's mom had to physically drag Grandma G back to her seat. But she still muttered, "What kind of wedding is this? No one respects their elders anymore." At this point, I was done. "Grandma, you just ruined your own granddaughter's wedding." The aftermath. After the wedding, OP found Dee crying. She said, "My special day was ruined because of Grandma G." Reddit exploded in the comments. Team D was outraged, Grandma G was out of line. A wedding is for the couple, not a stage for some entitled old lady. Team Grandma G was more forgiving, "She's old, just let her have her fun. No need to be so serious." One commenter even joked, "Next time, just let Grandma G be the MC. That way, she won't have to steal the spotlight." I was laughing so hard but still felt for Dee. "Grandma, have your fun, but don't wreck someone's once-in-a-lifetime moment." A theory, attention-seeking or jealousy. I have a theory for you all. Was Grandma G really trying to ruin the wedding, or was she just desperate for attention? Maybe she felt invisible, like people only cared about Dee, so she forced herself into the spotlight. Or maybe she was jealous, thinking, "I used to be young and beautiful too. Why is no one looking at me now?" Either way, Grandma G took entitlement to another level. A wedding is about the bride and groom, not a fashion runway for Grandma. The final twist. Days later, Grandma G bragged to the entire family. "The wedding was amazing thanks to me. Otherwise, it would have been so boring." Dee stayed silent, but T muttered, "If we ever have another wedding, Grandma G is not getting an invite." And honestly? T, great idea, but let's be real, she'd probably show up anyway. What do you think? Was Grandma G way out of line or just an old lady wanting some fun? If you were Dee, how would you have handled this? Have you ever had an entitled family member ruin a big day? Drop your stories in the comments, I'm so curious. Story 3, entitled, Sister Wants to Get Rich Off Pugs. Next up, we have a post from our /EntitledPeople, where crazy ideas and entitlement collide to create unbelievable dramas. This time, OP shares a story that left me clutching my stomach in laughter, wondering, what was she thinking? OP is just an ordinary person living a few blocks away from their sister, let's call her Sister E, in the same neighborhood. OP writes, Sister E has always been a big dreamer, the kind of person who's always talking about get-rich-quick schemes but never actually succeeding. But this time, Sister E came up with what OP calls the peak of stupidity. OP explains, she decided she was going to become a millionaire by breeding and selling pugs. She told me, pugs are trending. I'm gonna make a fortune. OP thought Sister E was just joking, like all the other times she had grand ideas, such as selling homemade lemonade or making DIY crafts, all of which ended in failure. But no, Sister E was dead serious, and that's when the drama began. I bet you this is the kind of story that's both hilarious and utterly frustrating. Are you ready? Buckle up, because Sister E does not disappoint. The chaos started when Sister E bought 5 pugs, not from a reputable breeder, but from some random online seller for dirt cheap. OP recalls, she brought home 5 pugs and said, "This is my army of wealth." But OP immediately knew something was wrong. The puppies were tiny, scruffy, and frail, constantly whining. Sister E didn't care. She let them run wild in her tiny, already messy apartment, where she also lived with her 3-year-old son, Baby C. OP writes, I went over to visit, and her house looked like an animal shelter, poop everywhere, chewed up furniture, and the smell, oh God, the smell. Still, Sister E remained optimistic, proudly declaring, I'll breed them, sell each pup for hundreds of dollars, and become a millionaire. OP tried to warn her, sister, raising dogs isn't that easy. They need care, vaccinations, and proper breeding, not just popping out puppies. But Sister E snapped, you don't understand business. Stay out of it. I watched YouTube, it's simple. Simple? How is it simple when she had zero knowledge of dog breeding? OP recounts, she let the pugs breed freely, with no vet checkups or care whatsoever. The result? Her home turned into absolute chaos, newborn puppies were sickly, the mother dogs were exhausted, and the entire neighborhood was starting to stink. The drama escalated when Baby C, the poor 3-year-old, was stuck living in this nightmare. OP writes, I saw him crawling on the floor, right next to dog poop, and Sister E just shrugged and said, he's used to it, it's fine. Shocked, OP protested, Sister, your child is 3. You can't let him live like this. But Sister E, completely unfazed, replied, I'm too busy making money. I don't have time for little things like that. Little things? How could she expect to become a millionaire while turning her home into a literal petting zoo? At this point, I just wanted to scream, Sister E, how are you going to get rich when your house is a disaster? The final straw came when the neighbors had had enough. OP explains, the smell spread to other houses, the dogs barked non-stop, and eventually, the neighbors called animal control. One day, officers showed up at Sister E's door, inspected the conditions, and delivered their verdict. You don't have a breeding license, and your living conditions are unacceptable. They confiscated all 5 pugs, along with the sickly puppies. Sister E was left with an empty house, and a pile of debt, since she had taken out loans to buy the dogs. She broke down crying and called OP, sobbing, why did they take my dogs? I was about to get rich. OP writes, I just stayed silent because, honestly, I had already warned her. Meanwhile, I was rolling with laughter, thinking, Sister E, how did you expect to become a millionaire when you turned your house into a dumpster? Afterward, Sister E blamed OP for her failure, accusing, you didn't support me. That's why I failed. Reddit exploded with comments. The first camp, the Team OP crowd, agreed, Sister E was delusional. No wonder she failed, she had no plan at all. The second camp, the Team Sister E crowd, defended her, she just wanted to provide for her child. It's more sad than funny. Some people even joked, she should have sold tickets to her dog zoo, she might have made money that way. I laughed so hard reading this, but I'm definitely on OP's side. Sister E, how can anyone help you when you refuse to listen? Here's a theory for you, what if Sister E wasn't really trying to get rich, but just wanted to prove she was better than OP? Maybe she was jealous and wanted to show off. Or maybe she got sucked into those get-rich-quick YouTube videos without realizing how tough real life is. Whatever the case, Sister E was both naive and entitled, big dreams, but a terrible execution. Want to hear an update? After losing the Pugs, Sister E moved on to her next genius idea, raising chickens inside her apartment. She declared, "This time, I'll succeed." OP writes, "I just shook my head because now our house smells like chicken poop." And I'm thinking, Sister E, have you learned nothing? What do you think? Was Sister E just naive, or completely entitled? If you were OP, would you try to talk sense into her, or just let her fail on her own? So there you have it, another entitled drama that had me both laughing and shaking my head. A sister dreaming of becoming a millionaire from pug breeding but ending up with a disaster instead. Whose side are you on, OP's or Sister E's? Do you have any crazy family business stories like this? Drop a comment, I'm dying to hear them. Story 4, entitled The Ungrateful Sister Despite Being Helped. Next, we return to our entitled people, a place where kindness is sometimes repaid with unbelievable ingratitude. This time, OP brings us a family drama that left me wanting to scream, "Sis, how do you even live like this?" OP is an ordinary person living in a small but cozy apartment, the kind of place where you can invite friends over for a weekend meal without any worries. OP shares, "I have an older sister, let's call her S, who is 3 years older than me. She always likes to act big, but her life is always a mess." The drama begins when Sister S falls into hard times. OP writes, "She lost her job after arguing with her boss and then got evicted because she couldn't pay rent. She called me, crying, 'I don't know where to go, help me.' Being kind-hearted, OP, despite knowing S isn't easy to live with, still opened their home. 'All right, you can stay with me for a while until you get back on your feet.' I thought this would be a touching story about sibling love, but nope, it quickly turned into an entitled nightmare that I couldn't look away from. Are you ready? Brace yourself, because Sister S is about to make you lose patience." Sister S moved into OP's home with a suitcase full of clothes and an attitude like she was some kind of VIP guest. OP recounts, "I gave her the best bed in the living room while I slept on the couch. I thought, she's struggling, I'll just endure it for now." Not only did OP provide her with a place to stay, but they also went above and beyond, cooking meals every day, covering utility bills, and even spending hours searching for job listings online for her. OP writes, "I printed out a list of jobs, handed it to her, and said, 'Try applying, I'll even help you with your resume.'" OP's kindness was truly admirable, but how did Sister S respond? Instead of gratitude, she started complaining. OP shares, "On the first day, I made her fried rice with eggs, and she had the nerve to say, 'This food is awful. It was way better back home.' I thought, you're staying here for free, can't you be a little thankful?" But that was just the beginning. Sister S continued to criticize, "Your place is so small, it feels suffocating. This sofa is as hard as a rock." OP writes, "I was speechless, my place is small but clean, and she's living here for free, yet she expects 5-star treatment." The drama escalates when Sister S refuses to look for a job and instead lounges around watching TV or scrolling through her phone all day. OP recalls, "I came home from work to find her lying there, the house a mess, and the dishes from the morning still piled in the sink. I asked, 'Did you clean up at all?' She casually replied, 'I'm tired.' 'You're back now, so clean up.' Tired from what? She did nothing all day." OP tried to stay calm, but their patience was running thin. The breaking point came when Sister S demanded spending money. OP writes, "One day, she said, 'Give me some money, I need to buy personal stuff.' I asked, 'You don't have any money?' She replied, 'You have to help me. I'm your older sister.' How does being the older sibling justify asking for money while freeloading?" OP was stunned and said, "I'm already feeding you and housing you, now you want money too?" Sister S snapped, "You're so selfish. You don't know how to help family." At this point, I wanted to jump in and scream, "Sister S, who's really being selfish here? OP is practically supporting your entire life, and you still demand more?" Finally, OP had enough. They wrote, I gave Sister S 1 week to find another place to stay and then kicked her out. She screamed, "You're ungrateful. I'll tell Mom." But I didn't care anymore. As she left, she shot OP the nastiest glare. OP reflects, watching her go, I felt both relieved and sad. How could my own sister be like this? I think OP made the right call. No one should tolerate that level of entitlement. OP adds a follow-up. After being kicked out, Sister S moved in with a friend, but within a month, that friend also kicked her out for the same reasons. OP writes, I wasn't surprised, she hasn't changed one bit. I thought, Sister S, have you learned nothing? So what do you think? Is Sister S pitiful or just plain unbearable? If you were OP, how long would you have tolerated her before kicking her out? This is one entitled drama that had me both laughing and feeling sorry for OP. An ungrateful sister who turns kindness into an excuse to make demands, unbelievable. Do you side with OP or Sister S? Do you have any ungrateful relatives like this? Leave a comment, I'm curious to know. Story 5, Satisfaction, Kicking Her Out. Finally, we're back on our /EntitledPeople, the subreddit where patience is tested to its limits, and small acts of revenge make you want to stand up and applaud. OP shares a roommate drama so infuriating that I just wanted to scream. OP, you are a hero. OP is just an ordinary person living in a small but cozy apartment, a 1-bedroom, a living room, and a little kitchen, just enough space to be comfortable. OP writes, I needed to save money, so I decided to find a roommate online, a decision I deeply regret now. That roommate? A girl we'll call B, someone OP describes as sweet at first, but actually a nightmare in disguise. OP shares. B moved in with the biggest smile, saying, we're going to get along so well. I believed her and thought, having a roommate will be fun. Oh, how wrong OP was. That was just the beginning of an entitled disaster that lasted for months, but don't worry, the ending? Oh, it's worth every second. I bet anyone who's ever had a nightmare roommate will relate to this. Are you ready? Brace yourself, because B is going to make you both furious and satisfied at the same time. The chaos begins. The drama started within the first week. OP shares. I set clear rules. We split the rent 50-50, share chores, and no bringing people over without asking. B nodded enthusiastically. That lasted exactly 3 days. One evening, OP came home to find B sprawled on the couch, eating OP's pizza, the one OP had left in the fridge. The empty box? Dumped right on the table. OP asked, B, where's my pizza? B, completely unfazed, replied. I was hungry. It looked good, so I ate it. Just buy another one. Excuse me? I was screaming reading this. B, if you're hungry, buy your own food. The rent scam. But oh no, that was just the beginning. B never paid her rent on time. OP shares. The first month, she said, I haven't gotten my paycheck yet, can you cover for me? I'll pay you back. OP, being nice, agreed. But the next month? And the next? Oh, I forgot. I'm a little tight on money right now. You've been living here longer than me, you should pay more anyway. What? OP was now paying the entire rent, while B was out shopping, eating out, and living her best life. At this point, I was thinking, B, do you think OP is your personal ATM? The party house disaster. And then, B turned the apartment into a party house. OP recalls. One night, I came home at 11 p.m. and found 5 strangers in my living room, music blasting, beer bottles everywhere. OP asked, B, who are these people? B laughed. They're my friends. I invited them over. You don't mind, right? Excuse me? The apartment was trashed, beer spills, garbage everywhere, and even the couch reeking of alcohol. OP, being way more patient than I would be, calmly told her, B, this isn't okay. No more uninvited guests. B snapped. You're so uptight. I'm actually doing you a favor, your place is more fun now because of me. Oh, B. What kind of delusion is that? The final straw and sweet revenge. After 3 months of this absolute nonsense, OP had had enough. They sat B down and said, "You need to start paying rent and following the rules, or you need to leave." And how did B respond? She stood up, pointed at OP's face, and shouted, "I'm not going anywhere. You can't kick me out." OP writes, "At that moment, I felt like my kindness had been used as a doormat for too long. So OP took action. They secretly contacted the landlord, changed the locks, and waited for the perfect moment. One night, when B was out partying, OP took all her stuff, packed it up, and left it outside the door with a note. Figure out your next move, because you're not coming back in." When B returned, she pounded on the door, screaming, "Let me in. Where's my stuff?" OP, standing behind the locked door, calmly replied, "Outside. Goodbye." B went ballistic, threatening, "I'll sue you." But in the end, she grabbed her stuff and stormed off, never to return. OP writes, "Watching her walk away was the most satisfying moment of my life. And honestly, I wanted to stand up and clap." The aftermath. After being kicked out, B blew up OP's phone, sending angry texts about how OP was inhumane and heartless. But OP didn't care. Reddit went wild in the comments. Team OP, B was beyond entitled. "You were too patient, she should have been out after month 1. The comedians, next time, install security cameras to catch her stealing your pizza as evidence." Team B defenders, maybe OP should have given her one more chance. One more chance? She had 3 months of chances. I'm 100% with OP. If someone doesn't respect your space, show them the door, or better yet, change the locks first. The best part? B never changed. Here's the kicker, after being kicked out, B moved in with another friend. Guess what? 2 weeks later, OP got a text from that friend. "How did you tolerate B for 3 months? I just kicked her out too." And OP? "I just laughed, because I knew she'd never change." Honestly? B, you are officially out of roommates. Final thoughts, the sweetest revenge? Boundaries. Looking back at all these stories, one thing is clear, entitlement and lack of respect always lead to disaster. From a wife throwing away her husband's memories, a grandma hijacking a wedding, a sister demanding everything for free, to a roommate treating OP like a personal bank, all these stories prove one thing. The lesson? Respect, gratitude, and personal responsibility matter. If someone is draining you without giving anything back, you have every right to cut them off. And sometimes, the best way to deal with entitled people is to change the locks and let them figure it out themselves. What do you think? Was OP too harsh, or was B's eviction well-deserved? Have you ever had a nightmare roommate like this? Let me know in the comments, I'm dying to hear your stories.